Alright, so this is part 2 of the central boiler forge setup. So we just came in from outside. I don't know, it's been 15 minutes or so. So this is my line set coming in right here. This is my supply line, and this is my return line. So my supply line comes in to right here and goes up to this thermal well. And this thermal well is checking for temperature. It's wired back into this switch down here. And then it comes to this control valve. So this control valve is a three-way valve. So right now my water temperature is 144 degrees. So usually after you fire that thing up and load it with coal and the fan kicks on, it's pushing a lot of air in there to get all the light ends and stuff out. So this temperature will drop a little bit and then come back on. So at 144 degrees, right now this valve is closed because we're not calling for any heat. The fan's not running in the blower. So right now my water's coming in, and this three-way valve, it's coming in, coming down, and going back out my return, which is right here, back to the boiler. So it's a continuous loop. So central boiler gives you a, I don't even know what it's, a diverter valve. It's a little red valve, and it's set at 150 degrees. And if you drop below it, it runs your water back. And it's to prevent your boiler from condensing and causing premature wear and eventually rotting it out. So anyways, so instead of using their valve, and how central boiler has you wired up, you continuously run a loop up through your furnace and through your heat exchanger. Well, and you get into days where it's not that cold. If you're continuously running heat through there, just natural draft, you're going to overheat your house. And I was going to set it up like they did until my neighbor was like, no, you need to do it this way. And then I talked to some other people like, yeah, when it's like those weird days, we can't even run ours because it gets too hot. So this control valve is a couple $100, but totally worth it. So this controller here, so right now it's reading 145 and it's climbing back up, so our fire must be kicking off good outside. So if my house called for heat right now, it would look at this and it'd say, okay, you're not 150 degrees, and it automatically goes to my heat pump. So if my heat pump can't maintain within 3 degrees for temperature for a certain amount of time, then it kicks over to my propane furnace. If it calls for heat, and this is 150 degrees, it trips a relay in my furnace, and this control valve opens up. So now I have my inlet comes in, it's going to go through here, through this top pipe, and then over to my heat exchanger, and then this is my return line back out. So pretty simple setup, works really good. It's kind of nice. I can send a kid down here and be like, hey, what's the temperature of the boiler, especially when it's messing up. So again, 145 degrees is terrible. It should have never went that low. That was, you know, roughly a 12-hour burn time on a full load, so it shouldn't have been out. We ran all copper pipe. The only thing I don't like about it is we got quite a few 90s in it, but then we came to heater hose right here because I'm going to jump off of this and we're going to mount some other pumps and stuff on this wall because I bought the side arm for the water heater, but then I did a lot of reviews on them and the side arms are kind of junk. So this 80-gallon hot water tank is going to go out to my shop, and I'm going to buy a electric hot water tank that has a coil inside of it. So we will have our main feed, then I'm going to set up another pump for that and controls so it'll kick on and off when it needs heat. I did buy the central boiler heat exchanger. I put a 140,000 BTU heat exchanger in. Previously, when we were in on propane, we kept our house at 68 degrees. We kept it 73 to 75 all winter, which was nice because we got a newborn and my wife likes it nice and warm like that. But so yeah, so eventually, you know, we'll have this wall. There'll be some pumps set up for where it'll come in and run a circular loop and back out, and then there'll be controls that open up for the hot water heater, and then a pool if we eventually do it, and so forth. And like I said, this is going to go out to my shop with a side arm on it, and that'll be my hot water out there. So little different way to set it up. I hadn't seen any online quite like this, but it does work very well and eliminates your house superheating with natural induction. So works really well. You can see we put some, you know, drains and stuff in it and so forth. There's some up there to get air out, and like I said, we use central boilers line, and that's it coming in the house. So yeah, we also ran, I guess I can show this too. I also ran new conduit and stuff. I had conduit out to my barn, but we ran it here on this emergency panel. So this hooks up to my generator, which hooks up in my garage. So if we do lose power, I can still run the furnace blower and the wood boiler, which is nice if it runs right. So yeah, we've been out here 5 minutes, and that temperature's coming up. So that's the control we're using right there. Pretty simple little design, but like I said, it works really well, and pretty easy to wire up. So if you guys like it, I can go more in depth and get some numbers and stuff for you, but that's the deal on that. Thanks.